A good evening to you. Welcome to News Tonight on GHOne TV, live from our studios here at the Platinum Place, Northridge here in Accra, Ghana. Our top stories now. OSP formally charges former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta and 7 others with 78 counts of corruption and corruption-related offences over controversial GRA SML revenue assurance contracts. We've got more on corruption tonight as President Mahama vows swift and unforgiving action against any appointee who drags his government into any corruption scandal.
The prosecutions that we're taking against the current government will betize the first person who brings a scandal to this government. We shall hang them on a cross.
More gender groups demand expedited prosecution of man captured in viral video assaulting his wife. Details as Zach Foundation.
Have families to take care immediately. Where would she go? And if the perpetrator is the kind of person who can go to your family house and beat you in front of your father and mother, which happens in this country.
Much later in business, government expresses commitment to maintaining independence of Central Bank of Ghana to guide monetary policy in achieving stability in the economy. And on the international front, one of 25 school girls abducted in Nigeria's northwestern Kebbi state escapes through forests. The details on the fleshing out of these stories coming up in the next 60 minutes. Do stay with us here on the broadcast. Many thanks for joining us broadcast once again. My name is Emmanuel Agyabeng. We begin with matters concerning domestic violence. The GHOne Foundation is calling for the establishment of additional shelters for victims of domestic violence across the country, stating the single state-owned shelter for victims is woefully inadequate. The call follows the recent arrest of a landlord by name John Udati Lamte, caught on video violently assaulting his naked wife on their compound. The Ghana Police Service swiftly apprehended the suspect and arrested 2 of his siblings for attempting to attack a female tenant who reportedly recorded and shared the disturbing footage. Founder of GHOne Foundation, which offers compassionate care for distressed, marginalized and abused persons, particularly women and children, Dr. Angela Dramina-Boakye called for the establishment of additional state shelters across the country for victims of domestic violence.
The thing is that if people knew what to do, they would immediately go to the appropriate place to report and try to get an enforcement person to intervene. So that's why the information, the preventive aspect is very important. What do you do if you're in a situation like this? Or what do you do if you find your neighbor, your sister, your friend in a situation like this? So that's a very, very important part of the equation. Otherwise, people will just stand there and video. You know, you might get somebody who might eventually go and call the police or report or something like that. And then, where do we withdraw the person to? So where are the shelters? You may well know that the shelter I run is the only formally known shelter, operational shelter in Ghana. And I set it up in 1995. You know, we started work in 1999. And that's not good enough. Okay, so while we work on her case, where does she go? If she doesn't have family to take care immediately, where will she go? And if the perpetrator is the kind of person who can go to your family house and beat you in front of your father and mother, which happens in this country, where will you go? So these are the issues. It's not that we don't have the laws and policies. We do.
Let's have a conversation with the Gender Minister, Dr. Nam Mulati, on this. Doc, we are grateful that you could make time to have the conversation with us this evening. And I must commence with action that we are seeing from the Ghana Police Service in respect of the disturbing footage we saw of the landlord abusing his wife. But quite a disturbing revelation we are getting from the GHOne Foundation concerning the state having only one shelter for victims of domestic violence. Is this something that has come to your attention yet?
Thank you very much. Yes, we have one shelter for victims of domestic violence. And so it's based on that assessment that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama promised the construction of 16 more shelters. And we have for human trafficking in other areas. But for domestic violence, we have one shelter. And these 16 shelters are supposed to be allocated based on available data and research. So basically, we are moving in to ensure that these shelters are constructed.
That's some exciting news. But we do understand of the presence and then the existence of the Domestic Violence Act. Now, despite the existence of this act, there's been some concerns about lack of resources, especially for training persons in dealing with matters when it comes to domestic violence. How exactly is your ministry helping address this challenge?
So we are advocating and we are lobbying and speaking to the authorities and everybody concerned to ensure that we don't just say committed, but we also prove with budget allocations and that. And when it comes to domestic violence and social protection, no amount of money is too much, because usually these things are not planned. Like you see a video pop up in the media about one person being abused or the other. And usually abuse also goes with vulnerability. And so we'll continue to advocate. In fact, this year for social protection in general and then the ministry, I would say that we've seen quite some substantial increment in the budgetary allocation. And so we are hoping that as we continue to talk, there will be sustainable means or source of funding for DV and social protection in general.
All right. Now, I must say that commendable action we are seeing from your outfit and even the Ghana Police Service in respect of matters of gender-based violence that we have seen over the past months. We want to say thank you so much for the good work done so far. But of course, in respect of the recent incident that we are seeing concerning the man and his wife and the disturbing footage that many Ghanaians were not ready for, do you have any update for us in respect of this particular case? Where is the man and the woman especially? What has been done for her?
All right. So the latest we have, without necessarily giving out too much details, is that the man has been arrested and the police are going to go through to ensure that he's processed for court. That's the perpetrator. And the victim, as we speak, by the grace of God, is also safe. That is the latest update.
Dr. Agnes Namulat, we are grateful that you could speak with us here on News Tonight. She is the Honorable Minister for Gender and Social Protection. We just spoke to her and she indicates that the man is in the custody of the Ghana Police Service and then the woman who suffered that gender-based violence is safe now. Now, Ghana Anti-Human Trafficking Units is sounding the alarm over a disturbing rise in a new wave of trafficking, one hidden behind promises of travel abroad, fake job offers, and what appears to be legitimate business opportunities. The police warn that unsuspecting Guineans are being lured, transported to West African countries, stripped of their freedoms, and forced into cyber fraud and labor exploitation. The Director of Anti-Human Trafficking Unit, DSP William Ayariga, breaks down the tactics, which is alarming, and this is still in the context of social issues you're discussing here on News Tonight.
Human trafficking in Ghana, the police say, has taken a new and dangerous turn. Unscrupulous agents are now masking trafficking schemes behind Q-necked recruitment, fake overseas job offers, and staged photos claiming to be taken in Europe.
And they will leave you that, oh, I'm in France, and the company I am working for need another person to be employed. And a lot of Ghanaians are lured. They now force you into Q-net against your wish. At that time, it is too late. You don't have any money on you to come back.
DSP William Ayariga explains that victims, mostly young people, are persuaded to pay between 80,000 and 90,000 cedis for supposed job opportunities abroad. But on arrival in Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Togo, or Burkina Faso, their passports are seized and they are forced into online fraud operations, controlled through threats, juju rituals, and debt bondage.
Some of them, they shave their pubic hair, they shave their head, and they are taken to shrines to swear that they will not disclose their ordeal to anybody, including the law enforcement.
Ghana is now classified as a source, transit, and destination country for trafficking, with West African criminal networks exploiting thousands through deception and forced travel promises. The police are urging the public to verify any foreign invitations through emergency lines 18555 or 191 as the number of victims continue to rise.
This is still news tonight on GHOne TV. We are going for a quick break. When we return on Inside tonight, OSP formally charges former Finance Minister Kenneth Furiata and 7 others with 78 counts of corruption and corruption-related offences over controversial GRA SML revenue assurance contract. We are back with the details. Stay with us.
I'll take care of you, never let you down. I'll always be by your side. I'll always love you through the years, wipe away your tears. I'll be your best friend, your protector, forever and ever. I will be your solid partner and strength.
From the heart of Ghana comes elegance that endures. Gold ball jewelry, craft
On Inside tonight, the Office of the Special Prosecutor has formally charged former Finance Minister Kenneth Nanaya Ofori-Atta and 7 others with 78 counts of corruption and corruption-related offences connected to the controversial revenue assurance contracts awarded to Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited (SML). A charge sheet filed at the High Court Criminal Division in Accra today, November 18, 2025, lists 8 accused persons. And I'm taking bring you details of the accused persons. And the first on the list is the former Finance Minister himself, Ken Ofori-Atta. We also have a former technical advisor at the Finance Ministry, Ernest Dakwakore. We have Emmanuel Kofi-Nti, who is the former GRA Commissioner General, as well another former GRA Commissioner General, Reverend Dr. Amishadai Owusu-Amwa, a former Commissioner of Customs at the GRA, Isaac Renzel, another former Commissioner of Customs Division, Colonel Retired Kojo Damwa. And then we have the CEO of Strategic Mobilization Limited, Evans Dusey, and the company itself, Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited. Now, we mentioned to you 78 counts. That's what the charge sheet has. Let's break down the charges for you. Now, of the total of the 78 counts, 68 relates to conspiracies. There is a count of attempting to commit the criminal offense of influencing the procurement process to obtain an unfair advantage in the award of a procurement contract. There are also some 16 counts of causing financial loss to the Republic, contrary to the Criminal Offences Act 1960, that's Act 29. 22 counts of using public office for profit, contrary to Section 179C of the Criminal Offences Act. As well, amongst the 78 is 4 counts of willful oppression. We as well do have some 6 counts of directly influencing the procurement process to obtain an unfair advantage in the award of a procurement contract. We have 2 counts of false certificates by a public officer. As well, there are 4 counts of entering into an agreement with a financial commitment that binds the government for more than 1 financial year without prior authorization by the legislature, in this case, the Parliament of Ghana. Now, this case has been traveling since the beginning of the year, and here are some key timelines for you to note. At the beginning of the year, in January, the OSP officially communicated that Ken Ofori-Atta is a suspect in respect of not just the SML assurance contract, but in some other 3 cases, and he was supposed to appear before the OSP on February 10. On the 31st of January 2025, his lawyers informed the OSP he's out of the jurisdiction indefinitely. Well, on February 5, the OSP indeed rejected the claim of indefinite absence. Among the other defense position raised by his lawyers was a missive that shows that indeed, that's from a doctor, that shows that he was undergoing some tests and potential surgery, but then of course without a definite timeline for return. Now, a part of the negotiation was for him to later return in May, something which the OSP accepted and removed Ken Ofori-Atta's name from the wanted list after declaring him a fugitive from justice on February 12, 2025. Now, fast forward into March 2025, Ofori-Atta files a lawsuit against the OSP and the special prosecutor claiming unlawful treatment and requesting removal of related content from the OSP's platforms. Now, still in the same month, the Human Rights Court Division head that particular matter. But on June 5, the OSP places Ken Ofori-Atta on the Interpol red alert because Ken Ofori-Atta failed to appear on May 5 in person, and following that particular agreement that they had actually agreed to it on February 18, 2025. Now, following that particular placement, in the same month of June, the OSP, through the Chief of Staff's office, began extradition processes for Ken Ofori-Atta to come into the country. Now, the Chief of Staff indeed transmitted the extradition request to the Attorney General, which is the central authority under the Mutual Legal Assistance Framework. Now, following that, the AG on June 13 demanded a copy of the investigation docket and asked the OSP to nominate 2 persons from his office to join a prosecution team. On June 20, the OSP honors one part of the request, forwards 2 nominees to the AG, but then indicates that, well, the case docket is still being organized following an action taken on June 10 at SML's offices. Now, fast forward to September, after the OSP has said it was to organize in September, the AG's office demanded some update in respect of that particular matter. It still hadn't gotten any response yet, but in October, early on this year, on the 20th of October, in an interview here on GHOne TV on State of Affairs, which was hosted by Bernice Abubedu Lansa with the current Deputy Attorney General, and that is Dr. Justice Tremsai, he indicated that his office had not yet received the docket from the OSP to trigger extradition from the U.S. despite writing several letters to this office. Now, 2 days later, the OSP refuted the claims of frustrating Ken Ofori-Atta's extradition. At the end of the month of October, President John Dramani Mahama ordered the immediate termination of all the contracts with SML following the completion of the investigation by the OSP. And today, as we have it, the OSP has formally charged Ofori-Atta, SML, and the other 6 others I mentioned to you earlier with 78 counts of corruption and corruption-related offences. The OSP has said efforts are underway to extradite Mr. Ofori-Atta to face justice. The case details a sophisticated and long-running alleged scheme where high-level officials are accused of colluding with a private company, as mentioned to you, to defraud the Ghanaian state over 1.4 billion Ghana cedis through illegal awarded contracts and payments for services that were not performed. So that is the update we are having for you this evening in respect of the SML contract. Let's engage the co-chair for the Citizens Movement Against Corruption, Adam Senanu. He as well serves on the AU's Advisory Board on Corruption. Mr. Senanu, we are grateful that you could join us this evening. Finally, we are seeing some action from the OSP. From where you sit, positive action so far?
Well, yes, and I'm not quite sure it's finally. As they say, the wheels of justice grind slowly, but grind they do. So they've gotten to the point where, as they said, it was a very complicated case. They had to do a lot of interviews. They've now placed the charges in the public domain, and so we have an opportunity to see what happens from this point.
Well, as you mentioned, the wheels of justice grind slowly, but given what we have seen with the OSP and his actions so far, there is the perception of, as you would want to say, he being laxed, especially in respect of this particular matter. Does this action vindicate him of any sort of claims and allegations that we have come across on social media?
Not necessarily of what some persons may want to conclude. But I think that it just shows that processes take time. In my view, I have never seen how lax the claim that the OSP has been. I think that the issues that were brought to your attention were ones that they needed to take their time to investigate. And when I consider that Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta did not make himself available when expected in May, and it is subsequent to that they raided SML and found additional data that needed to be uncoded and then analyzed. I don't find it strange that it's taken them this time to use that data to then, as it were, add up to the charges so that they are clear that they are covering everything. I don't think there's any laxity. In our terrain, we say prevention is better than prosecution. And we also say that the rights of persons must be respected. If it were you, your mother, your father, or a sibling, you would expect that every care should be taken to make sure that they are not rushing. And so I think that this is the way to go.
June 13, we are seeing some action in respect of the extradition. Now, we do understand that Ken Ofori-Atta himself has triggered some legal processes in respect of this extradition. I would say if he had acted earlier, wouldn't have gotten here. How do you see all of this play out now?
I think some things are inevitable. At the time where the OSP tried to ensure that Mr. Ofori-Atta came to have whatever engagement and interrogation, the team and Mr. Ofori-Atta said he had a health condition. The majority of Ghanaians, including myself, we felt that please, OSP, be sensitive. So I do not see, whilst people want to have that discussion, I think it's a non-starter. Once he talked about health, once we heard what it involved, we all felt, listen, if he comes and he dies, what's the point? Let him get the care, attention he needs. If he's stronger, he comes, that's fine. So I don't think this argument about if it had been done earlier would ever work, because when he left in January, the basis on which he applied to leave to the chief of staff had to do with his health. I don't think that would have made a difference. I think all of us would have supported that he should get the healthcare attention he needed. Where we are is where we are. Let's live with it. I also think that he ought to be willing, if he's gone through the surgery and he's better, to be able to, stand up and show leadership by being accountable. Once you take a position of privilege in any state, you should be willing to come back to answer questions on your tenure and what you have done for the people.
Mr. Senano, I want for you to hold on a bit, because the president has been speaking on matters relating to corruption and its related activities. President John Dramani Mahama has vowed swift and unforgiving action against any appointee who drags his government into any corruption scandal. Now, he stresses that any deviant appointee in his administration will face the same legal scrutiny and prosecution applied to offenders in the previous government.
Before I became president, had indicated that we're going to take the fight against corruption to a whole new level. And it's not anything personal against anybody. I have said several times that our problem in the fight against corruption is that it is always post-regime corruption that we fight. And so when a government is in office, when scandals are taking place, they don't deal with them. And so they leave it until a new government comes. And when that government comes and starts investigating the cases of corruption, then the previous government says, oh, you are witch hunting us. This is political persecution. But I've said notice to my ministers, ask them every day in cabinet, I remind them. I say the prosecutions that we're taking against the current government will betides the first person who brings a scandal to this government. We shall hang them on a cross. And you follow our Lord Jesus Christ, that you cannot resurrect again. And so I keep warning them that Abaye Debo Techi and Nwani Debo Boba. But we must deal with the corruption that has taken place. And my belief is that if we want our people to continue to have faith in our democracy, then we must show that the political elite is capable of governing accountably.
Now, President Mahama made those remarks during a courtesy visit by a 17-member delegation from the Christian Council of Ghana at the Jubilee House today. We still have the chairperson of the AUABC with us, Mr. Adam Senanu. We have gone from the stage where a president has been described as the mother serpent of corruption. Now we are seeing a president say, I'll hang the serpent on the cross and I will never resurrect again. Is this the firm assurance you're getting from the president in nipping the menace in the bud?
Well, it's a powerful policy statement, and I think that I'd like to commend the president for that. I mean, that's the kind of thing we want, because then we can hold you accountable. Our appeal to him, though, we shouldn't hang anyone on crosses. Crosses are too special, maybe something else. But bottom line, it reassures all of us in the anti-corruption space when presidents talk this way, and not just that, but follow through on it. Because we've had, in 2015, 2016, we're on a high. We're on an anti-corruption high euphoria when the previous government was coming in. And the first 2 years went very well. But beyond that, the appetite and enthusiasm seem to have dissipated. We hope that this will continue throughout the 4-year tenure. And yes, Mr. President, there are likely to be persons who are already engaged. So we're looking forward to see how you deal with them and deal with them robustly so that you set the kind of precedent that moves this nation forward.
Mr. Senano, we are grateful that you could speak with us. Adam Senano is the chairperson of the African Union Advisory Board Against Corruption, AUABC. And we have been discussing corruption and its related matters. And that does it for Insight. Still on this broadcast, the Christian Council of Ghana is calling for a comprehensive overhaul of recruitment processes following the tragic loss of 6 lives and others injured at El Wak Sports Stadium in Accra. The council says the heartbreaking loss is needless and was avoidable and underscores deep systemic failures in recruitment processes. Vice Chair of the Council, Reverend Enoch Thompson, during the courtesy visit to the President, John Dramani Mahama, at the Jubilee House, stressed that urgent reforms are critical to ensure safety and institutional accountability.
Extend deep condolences to you as the father of the nation as touching the recent recruitment tragedy in Accra, in which 6 young people needlessly lost their lives in the stampede that occurred at the El Wak Stadium. A heartbreaking reminder of the desperation many young Ghanaians feel among the youth, especially due to unemployment. The incident also underscores serious failures, from weak crowd control at recruitment sites to a broader culture of distrust fueled by recruitment, fraud, and impersonation. If Ghana is to restore faith in its security institutions, it must urgently overhaul how it recruits, prioritizing safety, transparency, and decentralization.
Let's talk tech, because the CEO of OnPoint Virtual Assistants, Corey Johnson, is urging individuals and organizations to step up efforts to embrace the growing wave of AI and automation before they fall behind. According to him, artificial intelligence is now a permanent part of global innovation, and Ghanaians must adopt a positive mindset that is ready to learn, adapt, and evolve in order to benefit from the opportunities it presents. He made the call at the launch of Mobi9 Tech Digital Agency and OnPoint Virtual Assistants AI and Automation Training Pilot Program. That's more.
Just as the arrival of the internet and the World Wide Web reshaped global communications in the early 2000s, artificial intelligence is rapidly becoming an essential part of everyday life. Industry players say the earlier individuals and organizations position themselves, the better they can leverage on the vast opportunity AI presents. That's why Mobi9 Tech Digital Agency, in partnership with OnPoint Virtual Assistants, has rolled out Ghana's first AI and automation training pilots program, an initiative designed to equip young people and businesses with the skills needed to thrive in an increasingly digital economy. Speaking at the launch, CEO of OnPoint Virtual Assistants, Corey Johnson, underscored the urgency for Ghana to embrace AI to remain competitive.
Ghana can catch up as fast as Ghana wants to catch up. I think that is just about having a mind that's readily trainable. You know, you have to be able to adapt to current times in order to survive in business. You know, there are a lot of systems that can benefit today from AI, a lot of systems that can be more efficient, you know, and with OnPoint, we'll be able to provide, you know, students that will be able to compete for the jobs that are coming, for the jobs that are here. And so we definitely want to be a catalyst, a leader in the industry here in Ghana.
Joining the event via Zoom, co-partner of the initiative and CEO of Mobi9 Tech Digital Agency, Janine Cougar-Hudson, drew parallels between the early rise of the internet and the transformative impact AI is expected to have on global and local economies.
Just think of the dot-com boom. You know, when people were just getting started into the internet. That's the situation we're in now with AI. Businesses are just now seeing the value of automation and how efficient it can make their businesses. And so to have that certification and to have the knowledge to be able to help these businesses, instead of limiting the jobs in Ghana, we are allowing them to compete worldwide.
One of the selected trainees, Estelle, shared her expectations and what the program means for young professionals seeking digital skills.
I aspire to broaden my horizon. There's so much to learn. The world is my oyster, and I think AI is what is going to set the stage for me, and I'm very excited to go on that stage and to understand as much as I can through AI. If you hear of any kind of AI training, the first thing you should do is to, if it interests you, research on it. You can't get all the information at once. You have to research slowly, make sure it's something that, first of all, you're interested in.
The initiative is expected to develop a pool of skilled automation professionals capable of supporting Ghana's digital transformation agenda while tapping into opportunities across global markets.
Now, 55 persons with disabilities in the GHOne municipality of the Buem constituency have received livelihood empowerment support under the District Assembly's Common Fund. The initiative aims to equip them with the tools needed to pursue their dreams, improve their standard of living, and contribute meaningfully to society.
5 beneficiaries, all members of the Ghana Federation of Disabilities in the GHOne municipality, were presented with essential equipment including fufu mills, freezers, and a cassava mill, as well as financial support to enhance small-scale businesses. Beneficiaries were encouraged to make good use of the items and support provided so they can serve their intended purposes. The Sports Minister and Member of Parliament for Buem constituency, Honorable Kofi Idi Adams, said the initiative reflects government's renewed commitment to creating opportunities for persons with disabilities to start or expand their businesses, improve their livelihoods, and contribute actively to the economic development of their communities.
For 2026, 8.9 billion will be allocated to the District Assembly Common Fund. The percentage to the Disability Fund has been increased also from 3% to 5%. Programs like Agyabeng, the apprenticeship programs and all that, we need to also take advantage of those initiatives.
The Municipal Chief Executive for GHOne, Honorable Park Davis Agyabeng, emphasized that physical or mental limitations do not define a person's abilities or worth, highlighting instead the importance of recognizing and valuing the strengths and capabilities of persons with disabilities.
As we distribute these items to our brothers and sisters, I want you to remember that you are an integral part of our development agenda. Your skills, contributions, and resilience enrich our municipality. Know that we believe in you, in your potential, and are committed to supporting you in productive lives.
Some of the beneficiaries expressed gratitude to the Sports Minister and the MCE and assured them that they will put the support to good use.
I am truly grateful for the love shown to us. This is beyond anything I expected. With this support, I will be able to start a coastal business to earn a living for myself and my family. I pray that the Lord blesses the President and all who made this possible.
The donation clearly shows the government genuinely cares for us. We feel seen, valued, and supported, and for that, we are deeply grateful.
The local authorities expressed optimism that the intervention will not only boost economic resilience, but also promote social inclusion across the municipality.
We've got a business brief up next.
The Business Brief is brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
President John Dramani Mahama has described the cedi as more than just a currency, saying it symbolizes Ghana's independence, identity, and the capacity of the state to manage its own monetary affairs. President Mahama, speaking at the CD at 60 International Currency Conference, reaffirmed the government's commitment to maintaining the independence of the Central Bank of Ghana, describing it as a cornerstone of effective economic management. There is more on this report.
The at 60 International Currency Conference, organized under the theme CD at 60, reflecting on the past, shaping the future, witnessed key economic stakeholders, policymakers, economists, innovators, and industry leaders discuss inflation control, exchange rate stability, and long-term economic reforms. Guest speaker President John Dramani Mahama noted that the local currency has anchored the conduct of monetary policy, which has shaped the expectations of households and businesses over the years.
A core principle of effective economic management is an independent, credible, and professionally insulated central bank. And so let me state unequivocally that the government of Ghana is firmly committed to safeguarding the independence of the Bank of Ghana. A strong and autonomous central bank is essential for anchoring inflation expectations, for maintaining exchange rate stability, for enhancing investor and market confidence, and ensuring long-term policy credibility. This is not a matter of personal preference. It is an economic necessity.
Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, stressed the need for Ghanaians to see the protection and stability of the cedi as a collective responsibility.
The cedi belongs to all of us, colleagues. It carries our confidence, our efforts, and our belief in the future of this country. My hope is that every Ghanaian, from the child that is learning to count, the trader that is serving her community, the entrepreneur who is building something new, can all continue to hold the cedi and with unwavering confidence and with pride. Protecting the cedi is not the task of any one institution. It is a shared endeavor.
The governor also expressed optimism about Ghana's economic prospects, revealing the next 60 years present an opportunity to reimagine the cedi and build a stronger financial system.
Let's go to Parliament because the majority and minority clashed over revenue mobilization and growth. The 2026 economic and budget statement was presented by the Finance Minister, Dr. Kasial Atuba-Forson, last week, highlighting key government initiatives for the ensuing year. Amongst them include an allocation of over 110 million cedis for the implementation of the much-touted 24-hour economic program. Now, speaking on the floor of Parliament, Finance Committee Chair Isaac Adonko took a swipe at former President Akufo-Addo, chiding him and his administration for failing to control the exchange rate despite borrowing a lot to fix the problem.
We're running an economy that nobody was willing to give us money because our predecessors had run this economy into a bankruptcy, and all the rating agencies had agreed that we were running a junk economy, and no investor gives money to a junk economy. So we had to navigate this problem and find a way to finance the development of our country without recourse to those who had previously given us $3 billion a year, and we still could not make use of it. Mr. Speaker, in addition to that, we inherited an IMF program that had derailed. We had missed most of the benchmarks that we needed to implement. And this government, even in the face of the lack of funding, had to work very assiduously to ensure that we brought the IMF program back on track.
Well, the former Deputy Finance Minister, Abanose Asare, questioned the whereabouts of the 24-hour economy initiative promised by the NDC government.
Mr. Speaker, if this is dear to your heart and the theme of your budget is growth, jobs, and economic transformation, and the 24-hour economy which says 1 job, 3 people, 3 shifts, you are putting just 110 million or 90 million, then clearly you are just speaking to it and not actually making sure that it happens. Mr. Speaker, here we are, we claim, we all see the menace of Galamsey. But Mr. Speaker, It also has to do with the issue of joblessness. In as much as we try to reduce the menace of Galamsey, Mr. Speaker, the youth were promised jobs. The youth were promised jobs. So, Mr. Speaker, I expect us to do more. And if the theme of the budget says growth, jobs, and economic transformation, then the numbers here are not telling that story. Because after all said and done, it is the numbers, it is the money, the allocation that you put into it that will see to the implementation of your policies.
Of concerns were raised on the floor of Parliament, and the Finance Minister, Dr. Kasiel Atuba-Forson, took his time to address some of these concerns.
Right Honourable Speaker, in line with Section 39, I'm compelled to come before this House and provide the advice and seek further approval. Right Honourable Speaker, if you are to look at Section 30 of the Petroleum Revenue Management Act, Act 815, it goes on to say that the functions of the Investment Advisory Committee are to formulate and propose to the Minister the investment policy and management of Ghana Stabilization Fund and the Heritage Fund, and the Minister shall submit it for approval by Parliament. And Mr. Speaker, what I like about this amendment is the fact that it made certain proposals. And the proposals are as follows. They said that we recommend a two-track approach to the amendment as follows. A, to retain the existing base of foreign investment grade sovereign instrument. So, Mr. Speaker, we are not running away from the existing base. He said retain it, but B, expressly include additional categories of assets subject to strict criteria and caps. Strict criteria and caps. And they said that we also clarify that any domestic instrument held by the Ghana Petroleum Funds does not constitute borrowings against the Petroleum Holding Fund or petroleum reserves in line with Section 5.2 of the amendment of the amended Act 815.
That'll be all for the business brief. Up next, a sports brief.
The business brief was brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
Star Assurance, I'll take care of you, never let you down.
Well, in the sports brief, Nigeria's Customs team swooped their second win in the tournament after a dominant 3-0 win over Ghana's Navy team in the ongoing SEC Super Volleyball Championship. Now, this is the second win in the competition with 6 points. Now, Nigeria is comfortably sitting up the table and going into day 4 of the competition. Before we go, some international news. On the international front, in northwestern Nigeria's Kebbi State has escaped captivity and returned home. The girls were abducted when gunmen attacked a high school in northwestern Nigeria before dawn on Monday, taking the 25 girls into captivity and killing a staff member of the school. The student who escaped fled forest and arrived home late Monday, hours after the kidnapping at the girls' comprehensive secondary school. Mass school kidnappings have been rampant in northern Nigeria, where dozens of armed gangs of mostly nomadic herdsmen operate. And that does it for the entire broadcast. We are grateful that you could keep faith with us and stay with us 260 minutes of news tonight on GHOne TV. My name is Emmanuel Agyabeng. For more news, log on to starfm.com.gh. Have a good evening.